It turns out science has recognized that when you fall in love, you stop playing the programs and you start creating from your conscious mind. And wishes and desires are conscious mind. And so once you let go of the program and you start creating wishes and desires, it's called the honeymoon. You
Yes.
created this heaven on earth experience. And I go, and here's the inside story that Michael's been telling you for years, but I can now tell you, you could have that every day for every day of your whole life.
Peace and riches blessings. I am Michael B. Beckwith, the host of Take Back Your Mind. Peace and riches blessings to all of you, and welcome to Take Back Your Mind. I want you to think about that. You're taking it back. Somebody may have stolen it. I've always loved the statement, if you're not thinking for yourself, then something is thinking for you. But here, we're taking it all back so that wisdom and intelligence and love can take over our mind, which has been programmed by mediocrity at times. And you know what? Guess who I have today? I have the godfather of the field of epigenetics, my friend Bruce Lipton, the biology of belief. We're going to have a great conversation. I know that because he's a great man. But before we do that, I'm going to respond to you. You've been writing in the life question of the week. We're going to get to it right now. And this is our opportunity to do the question of the week. Jason from Los Angeles writes, if I choose to be here on the planet at this time and I pick the parents that I have, how come I couldn't have determined the outcome for my life? Or have it turned out better than it did? Now, if you've heard us in this conversation, you're now coming to an understanding that you can assist in determining the outcome of your life. That everything previously up to this moment that has happened and the interpretation of what has happened in your life can be altered with choice and intentionality. So the challenges that you've had in your life activate potential that's within you if you shift your focus. You can stay in the awareness of this is what happened to me. I'm a victim of what's happened to me. You can continue to use what has happened to you and your interpretation of what has happened to you as an excuse to not be happy, as an excuse to not walk in the direction of the dream that's hidden within you. You can use it as a template of complaint, or you can say, this is what's happened, and you can begin to mine, M-I-N-E, what has happened, to find the jewels of insight, the jewels of strength, the jewels of vitality, and begin to shift your perception and walk in the direction of those visions that are pulling you. The choice is always ours. No one comes through the human experience unscathed. Some people have devastating things that have happened to them. Some people have been in prison falsely. There's many things that have happened, and you can look at many of these things that have happened to people. Those particular things that have happened to them have become reasons for excellence in their life. You can do the same. You did choose your parents, and they've given you the essentials of what you have needed to go forth and make higher choices. So, victim or victor, all of that is determined by your perception and by your choice. Now, let me just say this. Your choices are now a function of awareness. Via spiritual practice, intentionality, you expand your awareness, and now you can choose a higher road for yourself. You can intend and choose an outcome in your life that is more successful, more health-inducing, more prosperous. You can choose that. And that means you'll be able to be in this world with all the vicissitudes of the world. There's so many things happening on the planet. And you can become more sensitive to the guiding principle of the presence that's never an absence, while you're in the midst of all manner of things on the planet that are unhealthy. we're saying you can choose this. You shift your belief, the very chemicals of your body temple changes. It's up to you. Have a bright day. And Jason, that question that you've asked, you're asking it for thousands of people. Thank you for asking that question. Have a bright day, everyone. Peace and blessings, everyone. As you know, I'm Michael B. Beckwith, founder of Agape International Spiritual Center, and I welcome you to my Take Back Your Mind podcast. I have the privilege of being with Dr. Bruce Lipton today. Stem cell biologist, best-selling author of The Biology of Belief, internationally recognized leader in bridging science and spirit. They're now married again through Brother Bruce, recipient of the 2009 Geo Peace Award. He's been the guest speaker on hundreds of TV and radio shows, as well as keynote presenter for national and international conferences. His breakthrough studies in the 1980s and 90s on the cell membrane gave rise to one of today's most important fields of study, the science of epigenetics. And many subsequent papers and other researchers have since validated his concepts and ideas. Bruce, welcome. So glad you can be with me.
I am more than just happy to be with you. I'm honored to be with you, my brother, because you are a dear humanitarian and devoted to helping the planet. And I think this is one of the best things that we both can do right now is to help people recognize how truly powerful they are, even though they've been programmed to think, I'm a victim. I say, no, you're not. And there's a science behind it. And that's why I love talking with you, because there's the spiritual part, which I never was spiritual. For 40 years, I was a science guy, genes, chromosomes, blah, blah, blah. And then in the study of the cells taught me that we're not even in here. We're a broadcast playing through here. And when you understand why, which blew my mind, because, hey, I wasn't spiritual. And all of a sudden I said, oh my goodness, the cells have little antennas on them, and each of us has a different set of these antennas, which are receiving a broadcast.
Yes.
In physics, you might say the word field, which is, let me define it, invisible moving forces that influence the physical world. And I go, same definition for spirit, invisible moving forces influence the physical world. And I said, oh my God, quantum physics has revealed to us that we're this energy spirit, and we come in and play through the body, and each of our bodies have a different sets of antennas, so no two people get the same station. And all of a sudden I realized, oh my God, after 40 some years of not even believing in it, in 2 minutes I turn around and go, of course, everything is spiritual now. But the meaning of it for me, Michael, was so great, because you know what happened?
Yeah, you had a kind of an instantaneous epiphany. It just changed your life.
The lightning hit me.
Yeah.
And what was interesting, within seconds, I lost fear. Because
I understand that.
Because the greatest fear people have is death.
Yes.
What if you don't die? Because the field is always here, whether the body, which I call the television set, you're watching the Bruce show on the television set here, but the Bruce show is a broadcast being picked up and played through the show. And I realized you can't die. You're not even in here.
Right.
We're the energy around here. But then, being an inquisitive scientist, I remember, I'll never forget it. I sat there, just like, oh my God, there's a spirit and there's a body and a spirit. And my science mind said, why not just be a spirit? Why have a body? And then I found out I had what I refer to as Jewish comedian cells, because I asked a question, why have both a body and a spirit? And the cells answered with a question that came right up in my head. And the answer is like, it's so profound and so funny. I said, why have a spirit in a body? And the cell said, Bruce, if you're just a spirit, what does chocolate taste like? Now you have to take that one in for a little bit and realize something, is that this body translates energy environments into pictures and sounds and smells and feelings and all these things. And I go, oh my God, we came here to experience life. You can write an essay on love, never having been in love. You could write an essay on love, But I say, not until you experience the chemistry of that in the body, translated into sensation and feeling, do you know what love is all about. It's an energy field that, oh my God, I'm talking a lot because I get so excited when I get around.
No, I love it. I mean, having a human incarnation is so precious.
It is, because it's the joy. And then, so I carry a little far, because I wasn't religious. I was spiritual at that moment.
Yes.
And then it really hit me. I said, well, wait a minute. My consciousness is coming in via this field, and I'm moving around based on what my consciousness is wanting to do. And I'm getting all this sensory information, and I'm sending it back to source, and then all of a sudden I said, wait a minute. I don't die and go to heaven. I'm born into heaven.
Come on.
This is where you came to create. This is
you are speaking my language.
What's that, Michael?
You're speaking my language.
So it's like all of a sudden, it's like, not only I get spirituality, but I got reincarnation. I got the whole idea of why I'm here to create heaven on earth.
Absolutely.
And I love it because the movie The Matrix, everyone thinks science fiction. I go, no, that's a documentary. Everybody got programmed. That's a fact. That's a biological reality. Right. But what was interesting, they always say, well, there's a red pill, and if you take the red pill, you get out of the program. And I go, guess what? Almost everybody in our audience has taken that red pill at one time, changed their life.
Yes.
When was that? It turns out science has recognized that when you fall in love, you stop playing the programs and you start creating from your conscious mind. And wishes and desires are conscious mind. And so once you let go of the program and you start creating wishes and desires, it's called the honeymoon.
Yes.
You created this heaven on earth experience. And I go, and here's the inside story that Michael's been telling you for years, but I can now tell you, you could have that every day of your whole life.
Yes.
Because we created that. And if you understand you created, then you can say, well, why didn't I create it tomorrow? And I go, you can create it every day. That's the beautiful part. I get carried away with you, Michael. I'm so sorry.
No, listen. I'm always, I've seen you speak at conferences, and we've done things and in the same venue together. And your enthusiasm is magnetic, and you've had your own epiphany, you have your own instantaneous expansion of consciousness. So when you do speak, you're not speaking from an intellectual concept. You're actually speaking from a direct awareness of everything that you're saying. You wrote the book, Biology of Belief, and from that, you had your own spontaneous awareness, but you also speak about the assumptions, the incorrect assumptions of science that we've been living under for hundreds of years, that you have really begun to teach about why those assumptions are incorrect and what is really valid, what's really real.
Yeah. Well, these assumptions are actually misperceptions. I go, so what does that mean? I say, well, hey, we're familiar with this one. Knowledge is power. Okay. Yeah. I go, yeah, that's great. And I said, but then when I talk to the audiences, I want to make it a little more personal to them. I say, a lack of knowledge is a lack of power. And I say, you're suffering out here because you feel you have no power. And if you really understand the biology that we're talking about and the spirituality that you're talking about, and you start to recognize it, you recognize, oh my God, you are so powerful. And yet you have a belief of victim. And since belief controls it, no matter how powerful you are, if your belief is you're a victim, then you are a victim. And we have been victimized by beliefs that are incorrect. And if we adjust the science, it automatically then comes right together with the whole spiritual message that Agape and my brother Reverend here have been providing for years. But there's a scientific context to it, because a lot of people go, well, this is scientific. I go, yes, it is.
I mean, what are those flawed beliefs that we've been living under all these years?
Well, there are four of them, and two of them are actually part of Darwinian theory, which I'll mention. But the first one that's really important is people have been programmed the belief that the genes they inherited at conception are programming the rest of their life. The genes, we didn't select them as far as we know. If you don't like the characteristics, you can't change these genes. And then we add on top of that, we say, and the genes turn on and off by themselves. And all of a sudden you start to realize then I'm not running my life. The genes are running my life. Oh my God, there's cancer in the family and their genes are going, I'm going to get a cancer gene. And I say, what's the belief? You already got the belief. I'm going to get cancer. I go, this is trouble right there.
Right.
And just a little sidebar, because I love this sidebar. There's not one gene that causes cancer. Cancer is not caused by a gene. Cancer is caused by disharmony in your life. Unresolved anger is the biggest one. Feeling lost, left out, not part of something is another one that separates you. And I want people to understand that, because so many people say, oh, I've got this cancer and the gene does, and I'm just a victim back here, and the genes took this and genes made this. And I go, stop. You are co-creating with those genes. The gene does not turn on and off, and the gene does not control things. The gene responds to the environment. And if your perception of the environment is not in harmony and support of your life, that disharmony is what can activate a gene. A gene is a blueprint, just like in an architect's office. And I say, you go into an architect office and she's working on a blueprint. You ask her and say, hey, is your blueprint on or off? And she'd look at you like, what, are you crazy? It's a blueprint. There's no on and off. I go, yes. DNA is a blueprint to make the proteins of the body. It cannot turn itself on and off. You need an architect. Consciousness, mind is architect.
Right.
That turns the genes on and can modify the readout of the genes.
Yes.
You can make, as I said, a gene is a blueprint to make a protein. With one gene, you can make over 3,000 different proteins on how you respond to the world. All of a sudden it says, oh my God, you're sculpturing your genes to fit what? Your perception of the world.
Yes. I mean, those units of mental energy, perception, go into that a little bit more, because we both speak that language about our perception.
Yeah. Well, let me give the chemical pathway. The chemical pathway. What was my experiment? 1967. I put stem cells, which are embryonic cells, in a culture dish, but they were all from one parent cells, 3,000 cells, or 30,000 cells. And I said, I started with one cell in the Petri dish, and then it divided and doubled and doubled and doubled. And after a week, I had 30,000 cells, but they're all genetically identical because they came from the same parent. So I say, okay, I got 30,000 genetically identical cells. I split them into 3 Petri dishes, 10,000 in each dish. Okay. All cells are genetically identical. And I changed the chemistry of the culture medium. That's the environment that we grow cells in, culture medium, a fluid. And since I make it in the lab, I changed some of the chemistry. So I make 3 slightly different versions of the chemistry. And dish 1 with, let's call it environmental A, B, and C, different chemistry. Environment A, the cells form muscle. In a different culture environment, different chemistry, the cells form bone. In a third dish with different chemistry, the cells form fat cells. And then I have to look at this after teaching in the medical school, genes control life. And I'm saying, well,
you had to apologize.
What controls this? And the fact was they were all genetically identical. The only thing that was different was the chemistry of the culture medium. It's like, oh my God, it's the environment that the cells were in that controlled the genetics. I go, this is my new insight after teaching, and still while teaching, genes control life. It's like, no, they don't. And then I recognized, so now here's the jump that makes it most important to take the spiritual talk and bring it into the science world. Is simply this. A human body is a skin-covered Petri dish. Under your skin, 50 trillion cells. It's like a skin-covered dish. But you have the original culture medium, blood. And it's very important because there's 2 aspects of blood, and we'll probably talk about them. The one aspect is nutrition. That's what's in blood. And number 2 is information. Like what? Well, emotions are chemical hormones, all the different hormones, all the information from the brain coordinating all this. That's in the blood too. That's not nutrition. That's information. Okay. Yes. Now here's the point. A skin-covered Petri dish with the original culture medium blood versus a plastic dish with the culture medium from the lab. I say, this is it. It doesn't make a difference if the cell is in a plastic dish or a skin-covered dish. Its fate is controlled by the chemistry of the culture medium in the body, the chemistry of the blood. Now, one last step, and then the picture has got a cap on it, and the picture is this. So, what chemistry should the brain put into the blood? And here's the answer. Whatever picture you hold in your mind, the brain translates that into complementary chemistry Happy picture, scared picture, angry picture, different chemistry from each picture. The chemistry goes into the blood. Then what? That's the culture medium. Then what? I said, well, that's the story. The culture medium controlled the genetics. I say, and the chemistry is controlled by your consciousness. And all of a sudden it says, what you are thinking is creating chemistry that is complementary to it. A good thought got different chemistry than a bad thought. Right. Love has a totally different chemistry than fear.
Yep.
And I go, so what's the relevance? I say, well, then you are a chemist creating the culture medium for your 50 trillion cells. And in the process, since the chemistry of the culture medium controls the genetics and the behavior, then your mind is controlling your biology and your life. Change your mind, change your biology.
Change your mind, change your biology, change your life, which is why this particular program is called Take Back Your Mind, so that the world isn't controlling it. Yeah. You are having that own awareness. Yeah.
That was one of the misperception programs that genes control your life, when it turns out it's just the opposite. You control your genetic activity with this mind, okay? Number two, we're caught up in a Newtonian version of the universe. And I go, well, that's physics. And I go, yeah, but what does that mean? He said, we divided under Newton the universe into two realms, the physical material realm, the invisible energy realm. According to Newtonian physics, they don't communicate with each other. So whatever's physical responds to physical things, whatever's energetic responds to energetic things, which then comes to the human body that says, oh, how does it work? It's a physical mechanism. So therefore, there are physical things that control this body, chemistry, as we just talked about, all this kind of stuff like that. And they treat the body as this machine that is like self-programmed, okay? But what about the energy? I say, not until 1927 did it change, because quantum physics came in. I said, what's the difference? I said, well, quantum physics is actually a bigger science in which Newtonian physics is a piece. But the bigger science of quantum physics is matter is an illusion. Oh my God, I'm talking here with a reverend. I go, hey, this whole physical world is an illusion.
Actually, you don't have to convince me.
It's all energy. So the relevance, and I'll give one quote. Here's my science quote for the moment. It's from Albert Einstein, and it's so simple. The quote is, the field, definition field, the energy in which you're in right now. Look, there's cell phones, television, radio broadcasts, sun energy, everything's coming in this energy field. The field is the sole governing agency of the particle.
Yes.
Let me translate that. The field, the energy around us, is the sole generating agency of matter.
Yes.
And all of a sudden it says, then your energy fields are shaping matter. And I go, absolutely 100%. And I go, why is this significant? Because I say your consciousness is a generator of an energy field that is shaping your biological experience and your external experience in the world of everything else. And I say, and what is this energy field? Invisible moving forces that influence the physical world? Spirit.
Spirit, capital S.
Absolutely.
You're basically giving us a shining description of epigenetics, of which you helped give birth to, going beyond the genetic field as a determinant of our experience. You're going beyond that into the field. Yes.
Because people have been programmed, misperception, I'm a victim of these genes. I say, no, you're not. You're the manufacturer, creator of the genes, of the products from these genes. You're creating this. And then it says, well, who's creating? It's not the chemistry that's creating this. Indirectly it is, but the chemistry is first related to the energy, the spirit, the mind, the consciousness, which is then translated into physical by the brain.
Yes.
So it really takes us back to that. So that's number two, when you start to recognize, hey, you're an energy field and you can't die. You're not even in here.
Right.
And energy field has consciousness to it.
Right.
So there you go. You're a conscious energy, and you play through this body when you have a body. And if the body goes, you're still the broadcast. It's still here. And if another body comes up with the same antennas on the cells, you're back. And this is really important. If you come back into a different embryo because you're dead, but the new embryo has the same antennas on its cells as you have now, it doesn't make a difference if it's male or female. I go, no, That's the television set. You are not the TV. You are the broadcast. I say, does it make a difference if it's red, brown, black, red, yellow? I say, no, that's the TV set. That's not who you are. You're the broadcast. And once people get this, the separation of everything, male, female, different races, it's like there is no separation. We're all the same source coming from the same broadcast. And we're looking for the white light to come back on the planet. And my illustration for that is I use a cover from an album from Pink Floyd. And it was a pyramid with a white light shining through and then the rainbow coming out. That's what pyramid glass does. It refracts the light. So a white beam comes in and out the other side comes the rainbow spectrum, making that white light. And lesson. If you take the rainbow and push it back through the prism, it comes out as white light.
Yes.
Now comes the issue. What if I decide I don't like one of the frequencies of the color? I take it out. I say, now take the remaining colors and push it back through that prism. Are you going to get white light? And the answer is no. Point. Every one of us is a frequency of the white light.
Yes.
And the white light is here. It just hasn't understood that the way it's going to work is when we all come together.
Right. We can't leave anything out at all. So so basically, if you were to take scripture, it would say, in God, we live, move, and have our being. So we could say, in this field, we're living, move, and having our being. And that we're not, like you say, we're not in the body, but the body's in our field of awareness.
It's a science and spirit story, same words, just change the heading on the topic, same words, just all the way coming through. And the last two misperceptions, which have really screwed us up, are both related to Charles Darwin's theory of evolution, which is totally false.
Yep.
The God of biology was wrong. Yes, Darwin was totally wrong. And yet we praise him, and I go, man, you're looking at the wrong guy because he's the troublemaker. And I say, what's the trouble? Well, number one is the belief that life is a struggle for survival. It's built into the theory of evolution. It's a dog-eat-dog world out there. It's a rat race out there. What are you doing? I'm going to go out there and survive. I say, how are you going to do that? I'm going to compete with the other ones. I say, what about the losers? I say, screw the losers.
Right.
I go,
right.
Ooh. That's how you that's how you survive on this planet. And then I bring in the obvious fact, which nobody wants to talk about. A garden is the height of cooperation of every organism in the garden. They all work together. That's what a garden is. We come into the garden as part of the garden and then come with the idea that we're the masters of the garden. And now we're destroying the garden without recognizing you cannot destroy the garden without destroying you, because you are the garden. Yes. And we're doing it out of what? Competition to survive, with the idea that life is a struggle. And I go, that is so wrong. And yet if people believe it, it is so real.
They make that as experience. They start them believing in lack and limitation and scarcity and not enoughness. So I have to compete, and they end up creating the world that they believe in, which is a figment of the misuse of their imagination.
Right. And competition, of course, leads to what? Violence.
Yeah.
And then I said, what does that lead to? I said, it leads to war.
Yeah.
I go, you don't understand that evolution is not based on competition. The new science, it's based on cooperation.
And collaboration.
We all have to recognize we are part of a garden, and the indigenous people of this world knew this.
Yeah.
Lived it.
Yes.
Until the Western world came in and said, nope, we have domain over the garden.
We have a manifest destiny to take over.
And I say, how are we doing with that? No. And then I have to say, well,
rainforests are disappearing. The ocean's polluted.
we're in a mass extinction event.
Yeah.
We're wiping out the web of life to such a degree that we are going to go extinct. It's like, 1,000 years from now. I go, 100? No, not even that much. In decades. Yeah. Even NASA scientists made a report on the industrial civilization, the one we're living in, and they acknowledge that, and I really want to underscore the word, that we are facing an irreversible collapse within the next 2 decades. The civilization is collapsing
That's
but
20 years.
irreversible. It says, what's that important point? It says, don't try and go back. It's not going back. You have to move into the future on this one. So, a MAGA idea is like, no, that's prehistoric. We need to move forward.
Yeah.
And this is what we're being called on by nature, is telling us, listen, hey, you guys, you're like viruses in my garden. And if you get out of here, the garden will grow back right away. And it does. We have so much evidence where humans are excluded from some area like Chernobyl. Yeah. And after 10, 15 years, that place has become the richest wildlife sanctuary in the Soviet Union. There's more animals in that area than anywhere else. I go, why? No humans are there.
Human beings.
The trees have taken over a city. The whole thing is back to nature because we're not there.
Yeah.
And this is nature sort of saying, I'll do okay. Hey, if you guys are here, you better start working. And if you're not, you don't have to be here either, because we do okay without you.
Right. So you're talking about not only cooperation, you're talking about collaboration, and you're talking about moving forward, meaning there's parts of us, obviously, that magnify infinite potential. And if we release the misguided notions of competition, even though it's irreversible in one paradigm, we can actually make a quantum leap into another expression of life if we change our consciousness. So all is not lost.
This is a profound message. Even Buckminster Fuller, the futurist, said, don't try and fix the old structure. Don't go in and fix the old structure. Step outside, build this one over here new, and the people will come from there to here. If you go in to try and change the structure, you're going to lose. Why? Structure's got more power than you. And I show in my lectures a positive and negative electrodes. And I said, watch what happens when they come together. And all of a sudden they spark and the fire and the smoke and everything. And then at some point, guess what? No electrodes are left. I said, you take your power, try to put it against a bigger power, you're going to not have anything, and they're still going to be here. Why? They have more power than you. They'll burn up your electrode and they're not going to lose theirs. So the point is this: don't waste our time to go into the system and fight the system.
No.
Don't
go backwards. Don't try to turn back the hand of time. Move forward into the eternal. Allow the eternal to break into time as your very life. Now,
that's our future. What's your vision, babes? What are you thinking? What do you see happening here? Why? Because if we change our vision from victim to this is what I want, then there's a manifestation that happens. And that's the creation aspect. And we are creators, except we're creating from programs that take away our power. So then by definition, we use those programs and we find ourselves powerless. I go, how did the most powerful organism on the planet have no power? And they told us we didn't.
And they're telling us every day.
Oh my God. Yeah. Be afraid. Be afraid. People don't recognize, here's a big moment.
They forgot what FDR said. There's nothing to fear but fear itself.
That's exactly right. And what they don't recognize is this, is that fear prepares the body for fight or flight. So the body has two, like A, B. A, you're in growth, or B, you're in protection. But you can't be in both at the same time. Growth is take things in. Protection is wall things out. Right away, you can't do them at the same time. And here's the big issue. When we're in stress, it causes stress hormones to shift us from growth into protection. I go, yeah. I say, what's the consequence? I said, there's three things that happen to the body when you go into protection. Number one, they're all connected to this. The blood is the source of energy. And if you need energy in any organ or structure, the more blood you give it, the more energy it has to work. So let's say there's a saber-toothed tiger and it's chasing me. I say, where do I need my energy? And the answer is, boy, I need it in my arms and legs, because if I don't have it there, I can't get out of here. So guess what? Stress hormones design the body to nourish the arms and legs with lots of blood so we can run and run and run. Okay. But I said, where did it get the energy before it went into the arms and legs? It must have been there and then moved to the arms and legs. I go, yeah, it was in the gut. I go, why is the gut? I say, that's the organs that take care of you. They nourish you, they filter the system, they clean it, they take care of all the issues, the immune system, everything going on right in there. I say it takes a lot of energy, but if you're running from a saber-toothed tiger, You can say, well, where do I need the energy? And the point is very simple. If you don't get away from the tiger, who cares about your growth? You don't have any more anyway. It's done now. And I say, so number one, to conserve energy to run away, stress hormones cause the blood vessels in the gut to squeeze shut. And that's why when people get afraid, they feel butterflies in the stomach.
Yeah.
What is that? That's the fluttering of the blood vessels squeezing shut so that it pushes the blood to the arms and legs.
Yes.
Okay. So that interferes with your growth and maintenance of your body. Number two, the immune system takes a lot of energy. If you're really sick, some people who don't even get out of bed, they don't have any energy. And I go, well, what if you have an infection and a saber-toothed tiger is coming? I go, well, again, who cares about the infection? Because if the saber-toothed tiger catches you and eats you, the infection is his problem at that point. So all of a sudden you realize I don't need the immune system when I'm running away. So stress hormones shut off the immune system by function and design so that you don't have to waste energy on something when you need to run away from that tiger. Okay.
Right. I was looking at
so the more afraid you are, the more stress. The
Right.
more stress you are, the less your immune system works. So the more you're afraid, the sicker you get. Ah, what a wonderful plan. Let's make everybody afraid. And they'll get sick on their own.
Even the CDC said that, that people that are afraid are having a higher rate of illness around the viruses that are out there that people are so afraid of, that people who are afraid are having much more debilitating effects on the body temple than people who aren't afraid. Talk to us a little bit about the electromagnetic.
Let me just finish the third thing, because I said
right. We're not finished with that.
First one, shut off the growth and maintenance of the body. Second one, shut off the immune system. Third one, the conscious brain is up here. The hindbrain's back here. This is thinking. This is reflex reaction.
Yeah.
This is 1,000 times faster than the processing up here.
Right.
So if you're under stress, thinking is not going to help you because it takes too long to think. You need to react.
Yes.
And so remember I said the blood vessels in the gut, the hormone causing this, the blood vessels cause the forebrain blood vessels to squeeze shut. And that pushes the blood to the hindbrain so you can have reflex behavior. It makes you less intelligent. As soon as you're afraid, you become disabled. Why? Because when it was designed, the system was designed to run away from that tiger. I say, so how long does that take? 15 minutes at the most. And I say, then what happens after that? And I said, well, the tiger's not there. Then you go back to growing again. Today, stress, 24/7, 365. And when you start to realize what is the consequence of that, it's destroying the vitality of the body. It's just, inhibiting the immune system from helping you, and it makes us less intelligent. That's the damn problem, because when we become less intelligent, we depend on somebody else.
Yes.
I'm afraid. Who's got the bigger stick?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it's like, oh, you gave up your power.
You gave up your power.
The guy with a stick.
Right. And this is no question then why here in these Western countries, the rate of illness is so high. Supposedly we're so advanced medically, but obesity and diabetes and cancer and heart attack and heart stroke.
Everything you just said was stress related. Every one of those was stress related. They're not genetic. Every one of those things you just said.
Yeah.
And then I say, well, then where's the source of the stress? I said, turn on the news.
Just turn it on. I'd say turn it off.
Well, I try to avoid that, because if I'm creating my world, I don't want to take their vision and put it into my creation, because then I'm participating in that structure. And that's the structure now that after all these years, I finally got it figured out. I said, oh my God, I'm participating by taking their beliefs, putting it into my program and operating. They knowingly took away my power. Absolutely. And I gave it to them.
Absolutely. No more. I used to have a program called Turn Off Your Television and Get Together and Tell a Vision. And people around the nation were meeting each other's living room, turning off the television, but then having visioning process in which they would begin to tell a vision for their life and then walk in the direction of that vision rather than watching television.
Because television is reactionary. There's no thinking on your part to say, so think of something. No television show says, okay, stop in the middle of this action. What do you think? Nobody cares about your thinking. No. They're telling you. And that's what happens to younger people. The more we tell them,
Yeah.
without letting them participate and
Yes.
think and question,
Yes.
then they
Real education. Well, tell us about the electromagnetic or energy healing. I mean, based on the fact that we're vibrational beings, we're living in this field, you know.
Yeah. Well, the first thing is this, you have to, the hardest thing, I tell people this and I say, look, there's no such thing as matter. Everything is energy. And they go, yeah, all right. When's this lecture over? I got physically to get them here in my car and drive to that place. I got physical things to go on here. Don't give me this energy story. And I go, you can tell them, but they don't get it because it's so radical a change of consciousness that the average person can't get it. I say, I'm energy. What? Energy is invisible. Okay, so already we got a problem. You can see me. I say, how can you see me? And here, this is not a joke. You ready? I say, you can see me because the lights are on. Lights are off. Lights are on. I go, what's the story here? And the energy, this is what it is. We're an invisible energy, but shaped like this, okay? And I say, and how do I see it? And I say, because when lights are on, what are called photons, particles of light, come from the light source. And when they hit the energy body, they're reflected back. So you don't see the energy underneath me. You see a veneer of photons coming here and then coming back to you. So you don't see me, you just see the layer of photons on the surface. If there's no light, there's nothing to see. And then I say the new scan technologies, MRI, CAT scans and all that, they look through the body. They're not using light to see it, but there's all the structure, the bones, the muscles, everything is there. And I said, well, what are you looking at? I said, it's an energy device. It only reads energy, doesn't read physical things. And all of a sudden it's like, huh, the body is shaped by energy. Okay, now comes, let's put it together if I can get this down real quickly, and that is this. You drop two rocks in a pond. And if you drop exactly the same size from the same height at exactly the same time, when they hit the pond, the ripples are going up and then they're going down, then they're going up and they're going down, but they're in harmony because it's the same ripple. I say, well, what happens when two ripples that are both going up and down come together and they're both the same vibration frequency? I say, oh, in harmony, the two energies come together and they add up to make more powerful energy. So two low energies can come together in harmony and collectively create bigger energy. So
magnify.
Yeah. Let me give a scientific name, which is totally useless, but it's called constructive interference, meaning two waves are interfering, but they're constructive, meaning they're building up. Give you the word on the street, it's called good vibes.
Yeah.
I say, what are good vibes? I say, you're finding yourself in the presence or place where people are in harmony with you. So your energy and the environmental energy and harmony come together, constructive interference, and the result of the empowerment that comes from this extra power by putting two together is experienced as more vitality because energy is life. So you got more vitality when you're in harmony with things around you. Every object is energy giving off energy waves. This is the Asians for what, a couple thousand years, the feng shui.
Yes.
They create an energy crystal by saying this structure should be here and this structure should be here because they have these different vibrations. They make a crystal and then all of a sudden, oh, it's nice to live in this house, the feng shui. I go, that's a science of energy.
Right.
So we talk about two energies that are in harmony coming together, but I say, what if you drop one rock before the other rock? I say, now the waves are not in harmony. Why? This one's going up while this one's going down. When this one's going down, this one's going up. They're out of phase. They're not in harmony. And I say, then what happens when they're out of phase and they come together? And I say, they cancel each other out. No energy.
Yeah.
I go, what is that called? Destructive interference. I go, yeah, but what on the street? And I go, bad vibes.
Bad vibes.
And bad vibes are your system telling you that the energy around you is threatening to you.
Yeah.
And it's waking you up to the fact that you're losing your energy, and energy is life. And so all of a sudden, a bad vibe is an alarm. You're losing energy. You better do something. You better protect yourself or something, because when the energy's gone, there is no more life. Good vibes are the other way. It enhances vitality. Life is great. And so we use this all the time without any consciousness of it. I give an example of people who live in California, because where I live, there's this department store, the upper classy one called Nordstrom. And I go, what about it? I say, here's a story. You go into Nordstrom, because mainly women in the audience, so I sold it that way. I said, you go in at Nordstrom and there's a sale table, 10 pair of shoes, all the same price, but each a different style. And I say, your choice. There's 10 pair of shoes. Which one are you going to pick? You ultimately pick one. Here comes the cool part. Why did you pick this one and not the other 9? You ready? It made me feel good.
Made me feel good, yeah.
I said, what is feeling? Vibrational energy. I said, what does it mean? The style of this shoe is the same vibration as you in that sense, so that the shoe and you come together, you got more energy. You chose what you do and what you don't do based on the energy. Does it give you more energy? Let's go do it. Take away your energy? I don't want to go there.
But that's
start to realize. And I say, how important is it? I say, imagine a snail. I picked that one because a snail comes out of an egg. I go, so what? I said, there's no mother, there's no father, there's no school. I say, how's a snail going to live here? It just came out of an egg. How does it know what to do? And I come down to tell you a simple story. On the dashboard of the snail, there's only one gauge. It's energy. If it goes this way and the energy goes up and says, okay, you're getting more energy, keep going this way, it's good for you. But if it goes this way and the energy drops and the snail says, uh-oh, this is threatening, and the snail turns around and goes the other way. If it comes to a plant, should I eat this plant? Just like shamans do. They feel the energy. If the energy of this plant makes them feel good, then I'm going to eat this plant. But if the energy makes me feel bad, I'm not going to eat the plant. I said, the whole life of this organism is controlled by one gauge energy. And I go, so are we.
So that's why then, like, when people come to Agape, they always talk about the vibration of the fellowship and the message and the music harmonizing in such a way that they get so uplifted, and sometimes spontaneous healings happen and visions take place. You know, they're coming into a sacred spot where the frequency is so high.
Yes, and
in an instant.
Every person, you know, we talk about, I could read your brain activity, putting wires on your head, you know, called the electroencephalograph. And I say, there's another device that can read brain activity, and it's called magnetoencephalograph, MEG. I say, what's unique? I go, it's reading your brain, and the probe is out here.
Oh, yeah. You talked about this before. Yeah.
I say, so you have to give me, what does that mean? It says, I'm reading your brain with the probe out here.
Out here, yeah.
It means that your brain is broadcasting field of energy associated with your consciousness.
Yes.
So that if you get a number of people in the Agape building and everybody's coming together in harmony and they all start broadcasting the harmony, then they're generating a field. Everyone is generating a field of harmony. The whole group is in constructive interference. More life, more vitality, and that's why they're there. That's your spiritual feng shui, my dear brother. That's what it's all about.
And I tell people this. I said, whether you are in the room or whether you're around the world, we're all generating a field that's embracing the whole planet simultaneously.
Yes,
absolutely. Now a couple other things. One thing, I know you have a new book that's coming out, and one of the things you talk about is that we get most of our energy from the field and only a certain percentage from the food that we eat. The nutrition, good nutrition is good. I mean, I'll just say that, you know, I have this Adaptive Zen superfood greens that have 47 different greens and probiotics, prebiotics, digestive enzymes, ashwagandha, rhodiola, maca, all in one scoop. So this is good nutrition.
Absolutely. You know, absolutely.
Nutri-Rise. I partner with Nutri-Rise to create this, and a vitamin D3. They're the sponsors of this Take Back Your Mind. So that's giving you good nutrition. There's also the field in which we're living, in which you're getting most of the energy from. Is that true?
Absolutely. And the point, let me just tell you, because I make culture medium. When you eat food, you make culture medium, but you call your culture medium blood. In the laboratory, I just call it culture medium.
Right.
I can tell you this, I do not buy my ingredients at Kmart. You know, I'm a Nordstrom person. Here's the point. We have to start recognizing that the industrial farm food that people buy at all the supermarkets, I go, this is so lacking in nutrition and quality.
Right.
And it's so toxic. And I go, what do you mean toxic? I say, I'll show you a picture of a farmer in the field wearing a hazard suit, spraying the crops. I say, why is he wearing a hazard suit? Because the spray is toxic. I said, then why is he putting on the crops? Because we're going to ultimately eat those crops. Right. So the big thing for me is to do the best you can do for nutrition. Eat natural food, eat organic food when possible, and then supplement.
Right.
Because we're all nutritionally starving because of eating natural, which we used to do by foraging and eating what was out there.
Right, right.
Is now being focused to eat this supersize me meal, which is going to kill you and give you diabetes type 2. And people don't recognize there's actually there's diabetes type 1. That's the genetic one. You were born with it. Okay. Small number. Type 2, that's the one you get from not living in harmony and eating really bad food. Right. Okay. In the sense, bad for your health. And there's a third, diabetes type 3, brain fog.
Right. That's
it messes with your brain, and your consciousness starts to lose it, and you can't focus, and it's harder to learn and all this because the diabetes affects the blood flow and the energy in the brain. And so it's all 3 levels. And I go, so the point is this. I know from my laboratory experience, if I'm going to feed my cells, especially the 50 trillion under my skin, I will not compromise.
Right.
Because I can see it in the lab. If I put in an ingredient, it's not really good. In minutes, I'm watching the cells in the microscope. I can watch them get sick and detach and fall off the plate and everything. And I can see that. And it's the environment that is helping them. And if I don't provide the best environment, they don't grow the best.
Right.
And I'm going, when it comes to nutrition, we have been programmed to eat garbage in the sense of nutritional value. And I say, even Bruce Lipton, takes his supplements as well because he wants to be healthy.
Yes.
And if you need to take care of yourself, the food companies don't give a damn about you as long as you buy the product.
Right.
But about health.
That's one of the reasons why I came up with this, because people kept asking me, you have such vitality, you have such energy. You do 3 services, you fly around the world, you have all this energy. And so I used to put all this stuff together in my smoothie, my ashwagandha, maca, rhodiola, all a lot of work, kinds of greens. So anyway, I partnered with NutraRise and created Adaptogen, formulated 47 different ingredients, plants, plus the adaptogens, plus the probiotics, plus the prebiotics, plus the digestive. So people could just take 1 scoop and you'll get your basic minimal requirement. That's good. You just go to NutraRise.com and look up their adaptogen and get it. However, you bring in the other aspect that I love, is the field itself is giving us energy.
This is the new stuff.
This is I know I'm giving the people a preview, but if people are in tune with their meditation and prayer, they're getting directly from the field. Talk to us about that for a moment.
A plant, where does the plant get its energy to make food? It takes it from the sun, the vibrational energy of the sun, the photon light, and translates it into biological fuel.
Right.
Well, guess what? We didn't realize it, but we have our own equivalent of chlorophyll, and it's called melanin. It's the pigment in the skin.
Yes.
I say, what about it? I say, well, everybody said, well, the pigment in the skin is to block the sun, so it's not too much sun, cause cancer and stuff like that. And I go, yeah, well, that's one function, but the one you're missing is it takes environmental energy and converts it into biological fuel. I said, what does that mean? I say, you don't have to eat so damn much food.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, a big diet is why people are not living to the 150-year minimum that we should have. And the reason is simply this: when you burn fuel, you get waste product. So I say, you look at the car, I say, don't breathe the stuff coming out of the exhaust pipe, it'll kill you. Right. And I go, when you burn food in your body, there is a waste product. It's called free radicals. They're charged particles. And these particles are like bullets, because they shoot holes in the cells. And when they shoot the hole in the cell, they kill the cell. So I say, oh my God, the more you eat, the more you digest, the more cells you kill.
Yes.
And all of a sudden it says, supersize me is a faster way to death than any other way at this point right now. And the point is, no, you need the basics. So I'm not going to short myself on the minerals and the vitamins and the necessary building blocks that I need. How much do I need to take? Not that much, folks. Less than 15% of the energy that you use comes from food. And in fact, if we want to live longer, then we should cut down the food to minimal, but you can't do this right away because we have been like addicted to food on a time schedule. Oh, it's 12 o'clock. I must be hungry.
I must be hungry. That's why for me, I if somebody gives me a big plate of food, I can't eat it. Visually, it's too much. I like small portions.
Yeah.
Then if I want seconds, I'll get it. But don't give me a big place of food because I'll push it all away.
Yeah,
I like
absolutely.
small portions. And then I can sit with it and say, oh, maybe I want a little bit more, or maybe I don't. But generally, if I'm on my meditation and my prayer, I have small portions of food, I'm good. I don't lose any weight by eating small portions. My muscle stays the same. So I love when you brought this into your teaching about living directly from the field.
Your mind is creating the internal experiences through epigenetics, and your mind is creating the external experiences through the broadcasts of your conscious pictures, whether they're positive pictures or negative pictures. And when we talk about the energy coming together, here's a simple thing we just mentioned. I said, if two energies are in harmony, they activate each other. Absolutely. If you have a negative energy, it's not going to activate a positive person. It will activate a negative person. Absolutely. And they will find their way to your door. Absolutely. And so it's just recognize this. You send out a negative message, it's coming home to you. Send out a positive message, and that too comes home, but that's the one you want to open the door for.
It is a return to sender universe. Whatever you send out, it's going to return back to you.
Absolutely. And
you have synthesized. You have synthesized the biology of belief. You have that belief and perception. Your biology takes that on and produces toxic or tonic chemicals based on your belief. Your body temple then reflects that health or sickness. It's not coming from the outside as you. Right. It's coming from your inside awareness. It's an inside job.
Absolutely. We're not victims of anything other than the inside job. That's the one that set up the story. Right. And that's the one that can free you. But you have to say, okay, wait, I haven't been doing it right. Yeah. I've been thinking the wrong things. Right. I've been misperceiving how it works. I say, yeah, well, that means you're not on the track. And the track that you've been on, most people don't recognize, is a track of disempowerment.
Well, I'm glad you're on the planet so that we can wake people up. They can begin to understand that spirituality and science are now married again. They got divorced in the Middle Ages, but now they're married again. So that different language, but meaning the exact same thing. In this glorious field of infinite potential, we are living, moving, and having our beingness, and with spiritual practice, we can be, the intelligence that's everywhere can be activated within us, and we can make a mighty difference on this planet. That is the biology of belief. This is Bruce Lipton. And Bruce, thank you so much for being with me today on Take Back Your Mind, and obviously on both of our websites. So tell people how they can get in touch with you, first of all.
BruceLipton.com, very simple. Lots of information, everything we talked about there, audio, video, written articles, all freely downloadable on that website of everything we've been talking about.
So God bless you, Bruce. Thank you for being with me today. And everyone else, God bless you. We thank our sponsor, NutriRise, that helped me produce Adaptogen. And make sure you get your products. As Bruce said, you have that good baseline nutrition every single day. And then the field will take care of the rest. Have a bright day, everybody. Peace and blessing. And this is our moment in the Take Back Your Mind podcast, where we do just that. We take back our mind. We take back our attention. We have a level of sovereignty over our attentiveness. Because oftentimes people are pulled by the world of effects and circumstances and situations into downward spirals of fear, doubt, worry, lack, limitation, not enoughness. But you take these few moments to take back your mind and to place it where you want it to be with an intention that then determines where the energy flows in your life. So I invite you in this moment to allow your feet to be placed on the ground. Let's have our hands today in an upward-facing position as a sign of receptivity. Let's begin to close the outer eye and take the shoulders and just squeeze them to the ears for a moment and tense up every aspect of your body to do the opposite of what we want. And then release. Close the outer eyes, and today let's put a little smile on our face. as that assists in the cascade of tonic chemicals flowing through the body temple. And as we begin to exercise dominion over our attention, let's begin to be aware, as we love to do in this practice, to be aware that the body is breathing with no assistance from ourselves. It's just doing its thing, breathing, and allowing ourselves to be in this present moment, because that's where the breath is. Now let's engage our attentiveness with an intention. Let's establish an intention to be healthy. Let's establish an intention to be happy. Let's establish an intention to be at peace in the midst of a world that is full of jangling discords of negativity. You're establishing an intention to be healthy, to be prosperous, and to be at peace. How do we do that? Think of any moment in your life where you felt healthy. You exhibited health. You felt that all of your needs were met. And you felt a high degree of peacefulness. And allow that memory to fill you with a feeling tone of health, prosperity, and peace. And as I like to say, if such moments are difficult to find, use your imagination. What would it feel like if you felt healthy? If you felt prosperous? If you felt peaceful? What would that feel like? The mind does not know the difference between a memory of it and your imagination of it. Come with me into this dynamic right now. And give permission to yourself that with every breath that you take, there's an amplification of the feeling of health, prosperity, or all needs met, and a deep sense of peace. You're taking back your mind with intentionality. Every time you breathe, there's an amplification. I am healthy. All of my needs are met. I am at peace no matter what. Be with that for a moment. Now, as we are taking back our mind from the world, taking back our power, I evoke this presence that is never an absence to be the activity of our awareness that carries us throughout the course of our day and evening. We feel it in our bones, and it is done now. And so it is. As you open your eyes, come back to this practice on a regular basis. Peace and blessings. Your time is very valuable, so I want to thank you for lending us your ear and participating in taking back your mind. If you want to submit a question for the question of the week, please submit it to podcast@michaelbeckwith.com. If you've enjoyed what you've heard today, please submit a review and let us know your thoughts. Stay on top of current episodes by subscribing to the podcast so that you'll receive alerts and not miss one single episode. And feel free to share this podcast with all of your friends and family. And until we meet again, take back your mind, and you will take back your life. Peace and blessings.